Hey everyone, it's Owen here. I'm going to be reviewing WWE 12 with the Raz Man.
Hey, how are you doing, Owen? Thanks for having me.
Good, good.
And real quick, before we get started, for anybody that doesn't know, Owen was actually on my radio show version of Raz Man's Reality, and we actually did a half-hour-long audio review on this game as well. So the link to that will be down below in the description box. So if this video isn't enough thoughts for you, go and check out that radio show that we did, because that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So I guess start off right off the bat, the name change for this year's game. Did you like
All
it?
right. Well, the name change I think is a good thing because there is no real brand warfare anymore in the WWE between Raw and SmackDown. Real wrestling fans know that. So I think the name change is a good thing because it puts them on the same level as NBA and NFL, and MLB, which are the three main other sports that people follow. And if you want to throw soccer in there or football for the people overseas, it just puts them on the same level as every other major sport out there. So by just having WWE on the title. So it makes perfect sense to me, and I like it. What's your opinion?
I like it too. It's at least just because it's shorter. Because everyone ended up just calling the other game SmackDown anyway.
Right, everyone kind of left out the Versus Raw part of it, or just called it SVR, which made even less sense. Like, what's SVR? What does that mean?
So we were just talking about it, so I figured we'd do it here. You beat the Road to WrestleMania. I got frustrated and gave up.
My thoughts on the Road to WrestleMania is I think they're definitely going in the right direction with it. I do like the fact that it's longer, and it does feel more like a wrestling angle or story that you would, however you want to put it, that you would see play out on television. The part that I didn't like about it was that it almost seemed like because they made the story go on for as long as they did, that the only way they could make it make sense was that matches had to end a certain way. And so rather than let the user, his or herself, perform the ending to the matches, you're not actually playing full matches in the mode. The entire time you're just achieving certain goals in a match, and that is how you go through the story. So I didn't like that part of it, that aspect of it. I think it takes away a little bit of the enjoyment out of the mode because you feel less like you're actually playing yourself and more like you're just playing an AI versus AI storyline. But it is a good storyline, and they definitely did the right move by extending Road to WrestleMania longer. So that would be my only suggestion to make it better. Do the same thing, but have more choices of superstars. Allow created wrestlers to actually be real created wrestlers and not preset created wrestlers. Like, if you need to have a preset name for whatever reason, that's fine. But actually let people do their own created characters in the storyline next year and just have the matches be controlled by the user. Like, if there's a certain way they're supposed to go, that makes perfect sense, but just have the actual player control that aspect of it.
Yeah, I just got frustrated where they just kept cutscene ending and taking it away from me as a player. The main game, I'm digging it. I know when we talked on your radio show, I didn't really play with the limb targeting system, but since then I've been playing with it, and I dig that. I like being able to do that.
Yeah, it makes it feel a lot more like an actual match because you really are wearing down a guy's body part, which is what you need to do in order to achieve a victory. And if you mess around with submission, which I don't know if I cut you off and that's what you're about to lead into, but limb targeting really makes it easy to get a guy to tap out. Like, tapping out is not impossible anymore like it has been in past years. And I love the physics of actually being able to crawl toward the rope to get a break. I love that.
Yeah. The other thing I've been playing around with more is the stick is used for transitioning positions now.
Yeah, and the grappling, that's how you determine if you're going to do a side grapple, front grapple, back grapple. So, yeah, I like that aspect of it as well. I think that's a lot more realistic, but what's your feelings on it? Do you like it?
Yeah, like I didn't even realize it was there until I accidentally hit it, and then I was like, "This is great!" and just quickly move through positions. For the backs, do some suplexes. It's super smooth, and I love it.
Yeah, I was wondering why you were calling the game so glitchy in your first impressions, because I was like, I don't know what he's talking about because the game is so much smoother. But yeah, I guess that's it. You just hadn't figured out all the controls of the game yet.
Well, it's still glitchy. There's still some funky stuff going on, and
Well, there is, but compared to past years, it's a lot better. I mean, I'm not making excuses for the game. The glitches that have always existed still exist. And there's still times where you feel like you're, kicking and punching thin air. But it's very, very few and far between now compared to what it was in past years.
Yeah. I was just saying, I've seen lots of rope glitches.
Yeah, the rope glitches, I guess, are there. But I don't use rope moves as much because I like playing with submission specialists more than high flyers, and high flyers, they just come off the top rope and they're done. But I do like the fact that the rope is actually a physical part of the ring now. Like when you hit a huge suplex, or you hit an off the top rope move, or you crawl to the bottom rope, you actually see the rope move. And it's actually a physical part of the ring now instead of just not moving at all. And you're like, I just hit a 500-pound Big Show with a suplex. You're going to tell me the ring doesn't move? So I like the fact that they did that. They probably just did it a little bit too much. As you were saying, it's probably just a bit glitchy because they didn't perfect it yet.
Yeah. On the same aspect of the physics, the weapons ones seem dubbed down since last year. I don't know if you play weapons a lot.
They do. I don't know. The weapon controls are a bit weird because they changed the weapon button to the run button and the run button to the weapon button. I didn't really see a point in that because it's just like one change over past years, so it didn't make any sense to me. It was like, oh, we changed the entire control scheme, so we literally have to change the entire control scheme. So that was a little confusing there. But overall, I just like what they did. I think the decision to put everything back on the face buttons and the way, as we've talked about, they created the limb targeting system and the way that they've allowed the left stick to actually control your grappling position. I just think it makes for a much more smoother overall gameplay when it's not being on the occasional glitch, and I just think it feels a lot more like a wrestling match than the stick controls did.
Yeah, I like the buttons as well. I didn't mind the stick, but I understand. You explained it on your show why you weren't a fan of the stick.
Well, I'm not a fan of the stick because of my physical limitation. It made it really hard to do exactly what it was you were trying to do because you'd flip a stick and it was so easy. And I imagine it's this way for anybody, not just anybody that's handicapped. For me, it's just worse because my hands shake sometimes. But it was just so easy to flip a stick too far in one direction or the other, whether it was up, down, left, or right. You just flip a stick too far in one direction and you go into the wrong move. It's not the move that you're trying to achieve. So, yeah, I'm just not a fan of that. I think that the buttons allow you more user control, which is something you definitely want in a fighting game.
Yeah. You have any final thoughts?
I guess my final thoughts would be if you were on the fence about this game, because let's face it, SmackDown versus Raw the last few years has just been nothing but the same game over and over and over and over again. But WWE 12, while it didn't live up to its hype of being the greatest wrestling game of all time, it's pretty darn close. And if they fix with a few minor glitches that we've talked about here today, they would have the absolutely perfect game. So I would highly recommend this game. I think that this game is definitely worth the money, especially if you can go out after Christmas and maybe catch it for a discounted price, during the after Christmas sales. Because I think it is absolutely worth getting. The only drawback that you're going to run into is if you haven't bought the game yet, you're not going to be able to get The Rock, because The Rock was a pre-order only thing, which I didn't particularly care for, because the 1 year that he's actually semi-back on the active roster, you have to pre-order him to get him. I thought that was a little crazy. But yeah, that was really my only quarrel, was the few glitches and the Rock thing, so I think the game is definitely worth getting. I haven't been able to say that as much about WWE games for a long time. Really, the last WWE game that I really, truly thought was a great game, to be honest, was SmackDown Here Comes the Pain.
Yeah, that's a lot of people's favorites.
So yeah, that's my opinion, Owen, and Owen's viewers is WWE 12 is worth picking up, and thanks for having me, dude.
No problem.